Welcome, friends, to the Pixel Boss podcast, where we speak to individuals that are synergizing the relationship between Web 2 and Web 3, a Web 2.5 conversation. Today, we are joined by an individual that is an artist, a creative, a mogul of murals, Danielle Weber. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's nice and cozy in this corner.
Yeah, we got our cheeky wines that you've brought us.
It's 5 o'clock,
Cheers.
don't worry.
How's that?
Cheers.
Cheers.
5 o'clock.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I think everyone needs to remember this bit. Bring wine.
BYO wine and we're all good to go.
Bear market.
Oh,
What are you
yeah.
talking about? No bear market here.
Beer.
It's 8 months into the year. We've got 4 months into 2022, Danielle.
Believe it.
You dropped a collection earlier this year. You're about to drop another one in motion that has been dropped.
Yeah.
This has now been probably a 2-year journey for you in the Web3 space, which we are definitely going to get into. This conversation is going to be based around storytelling, your journey, what it looks like for an artist to enter Web3 and why you've decided to enter.
Yep.
Had these conversations multiple times off camera, and I'm excited to dive in on how we're going to integrate ourselves together in the future. Give a quick snapshot for anyone that is listening, because this is a Web3 conversation for our Web3 friends, but also the Web2.
Yep.
What were you doing before you got into Web3? I mean, what you're doing now, really?
Yeah. Well, I guess, yeah, I could say it's been like a 12-year journey. I started on canvases as some would say a traditional artist. And then I transitioned into murals about 8 years ago, and we were just, I guess, focusing on making it as an artist and finding my feet as a creator, and to how to monetize work and how to actually make a living out of it. And over the years, I've come across really cool collaborations with brands and people, and I guess along the way I've found my purpose in inspiring other artists and creators to do the same. So it's a little bit of a rundown of...
And give us a rundown. I've got to hear the story of how this Nike collaboration came about.
Yeah.
Because that was absolutely epic. How did it come about? How did you feel after it was done? Because obviously it's Nike, the biggest brand, if not the biggest brand among all, next to the Apples, next to Microsoft's X. How did you feel going into it? How did it come about?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a pinch me moment. I've had a few of them over the years, and I guess a lot of the time you're sort of like, we all find in business, we're like running this rat race and you're sort of not thinking too far into the future. You're just like getting through. So when something like this comes about, you sort of stops you in your tracks, and you're like, okay, wow, like this is what all the hard work and the late nights and the networking and a lot of the things that you're doing, not wondering if there's an end game or a reward in sight as such. So it was huge. And I think especially because a lot of the time I'm storytelling through portraits, it's nice to be recognized for that, and especially get to do that with such a huge brand. So amongst that collaboration was actually me rolling out an activation of, I guess, fitting rooms, a mural in a Nike store, but it was actually a Michael Jordan dedicated store, and then eventually seeing my designs end up on his T-shirts as well. So that's wild, epic. Pretty crazy.
How many Jordan murals do you think you've done at this point? Or what's the leading one? Because you've got Tupac is in there, Muhammad Ali.
Jordan.
Yeah, definitely.
Jordan. Yeah.
Quick one on the ending up on a T-shirt. Did you get paid royalties for that?
No, so it was a package.
Lawyers.
So obviously we take that into consideration with the usage and everything, and they're decisions that I wouldn't go forward with if I wasn't happy with the, I guess, how it rolls out.
So the commercials are something you wish you did differently?
No. Happy with
all you got looked after.
Yeah,
happy with what you got.
So I obviously understood the brief and what was happening before I agreed to it, and I knew. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, there was no surprises. So I probably made it sound like it ended up on T-shirts, but no, it
was all part of the plan.
It was all part of it. Yeah. So it was a mural. There was I did all the designs for the fitting rooms and the designs for the T-shirts as well. That then you got to print, like you go in store and print on Jordan tees. So
amazing.
Yeah.
And now you had a pretty systemized process at this point with your mural work.
Yeah.
And now I guess you're translating those systems over to Web3.
Yes.
Which I'm sure it's a whole whirlwind. It's a different audience. It's a different narrative completely.
It is, yeah.
Let's touch on that, because I think that's a very important narrative that has been played out. Talk on the difference between your first collection and your second collection. Because for one, they'll release in completely different markets.
Definitely.
When you released your first one, when was that?
My first one was actually, I've done 3. So my first one was in December 2021, and then my second one was March this year, 2022. And then, I've just released the next one. So completely different markets. We're literally black and white. Like it's, so very different.
December, the complete high where you could almost release anything as a PFP project, as an artist, and you'd get some type of engagement on it. And now we're in a market where no one wants to touch anything. So if they're buying your artwork, they really they're diehard fans, really.
Yeah, and dedicated and believe in, me as the creator, which is crazy.
So knowing that, why did you decide to drop the collection now? Because this has been over a year's work holding on to that.
Yeah.
And speak on what we're actually talking about for anyone that doesn't know.
I think the biggest thing in this market is we've seen a lot of people, probably not as many as we thought, but we've seen, I think they say 10% of people leave the space. And I think when I initially stepped foot into it, everyone was like, oh, it's not going to last. Like, you're not going to last in this space. You're going to go back to or stick to your Web2, business. And so my attitude was like, when I released my first few collections, I had no expectations and I really believed in Web3 or Web 2.5 or however we want to explain it. And I think the reason why I decided to drop this collection in the middle of bear market is because I am in it for the long game. So my attitude is, well, what was the difference between me dropping it in a bear market or a bull market? Because I believe in this space. I believe I'm going to be here till the day I die. So
millennia. It's
really like, for me, I was like, it doesn't matter if it takes a year to mint out. It doesn't matter if it takes, 10 years to mint out. Like, my attitude is I'm still storytelling. I'm still staying true to my craft. And like any business, you're going to have your lows, you're going to have your highs. And I feel like if you can navigate and put out and keep creating and building in a bear market, then like that is just like, that you're developing an insane backbone.
I mean, we've seen through the events now, they've really subsidized in size, but the quality has gone up exponential with builders. And I like what you said, how like you'll continue to do this till the day you die.
Yeah.
And I remember meeting with a street artist the other day by the name of Nima, and he was speaking on everyone dies, but art doesn't.
Yeah.
And like the artist will continue to live on.
Yeah.
Forever.
Exactly.
And particularly with the blockchain. You mentioned storytelling. Within your collections, it's obviously a different story.
Bubbles.
Yeah, it's obviously a different story every time, right?
Yeah.
What are the checklists that you're ensuring that you have? For instance, when I make a video, I know I need to make like a hook at the start, first 3 seconds, grab them, pain point, and then like a call to action.
Before you jump into that, I want to lean in with the conversation about your releasing the collections, whether it be a bull or a bear or whatever. And the bit that I really admire about your mindset and what you've done is that, like, I think my personal point of view, and which you're already touching on this, which I love, is any project that has strong utilities has a really good chance of survival through any market because it has something that you can drink or eat or have or own or experience. And you're creating that for one. But for two, I think the difference between you and 95% of projects is that you didn't search for an artist to create a cool idea. You are the artist with a cool idea. So you're starting at the core in such a beautiful, genuine manner that everything that you touch is pure heart and pure love. And that's where you've got a huge advantage. And congratulations to you on that, because that's what I think will give you the forever job that you've got now. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think, look, and not that there's anything not wrong with like the bigger projects, but I think it's so hard, like when you can't see something or, you can't see someone at the forefront of that to push through these harder times, it is really difficult. So the fact that I'm still here being like, hey, I'm still here, I'm not going anywhere, sort of gives like everyone collectively a bit of hope. Like I hope in the projects that are sort of up and about still. So.
And who did you look at when you released those first 2 collections and now third?
Like as in,
because obviously like locally,
there's
not many artists that are doing it, right? You have Lambie, you have Mark and Matic, you have phenomenal artists within Melbourne, like, and we'll continue to see them.
Giant Swan as well.
Giant Swan will continue every week to see new people come into the space because it's Melbourne. There's incredible artists, but like I said, there's only a few. So there's not like people around the corner to say, Danielle, this is the blueprint. This is how it's done.
Of course, yeah. Well, I feel like I didn't really look into or like towards anything, and I feel that was a narrative for my journey as a traditional artist. So I feel like I'm kind of like, you know, someone asked me today, like, where are you at? What do you want? And I said, I just want to feel what I felt when I was trying to figure it all out when I first started as a creator. Like, I really want to strip back and feel that again. And I feel like I'm not quite there yet. Like this space has like really tickled that, but I feel like it's really good. It's coming, and I want to be there again. And I think that's why I haven't really looked into other artists, because I was like, I need to just put that pressure on that purpose.
So what do you think? What do you think is that missing element in self-awareness that you're trying to look for?
I don't know. I just keep calling it a transition phase, but I haven't quite figured that out yet. I think I need to go back to basics and start like, you know, even trying some new things again. And that's what I've sort of been doing with animation, whether it's like literally building. Like, I used to love woodwork, like literally physically building and then turning that into, you know, a VR or something like that. I've got this itch. So yeah. To
explore something new.
Yeah. Yeah.
Coming back to the point on storytelling, what are those major points that you're ticking off before releasing a collection? And obviously that's a massive, because it's the team, the right market, the pricing, so forth. Beyond the fundamentals of those, for yourself as a creative on a storytelling hat, with a storytelling hat on, what are you ticking off? Yeah,
I think for me, am I putting out something not because for the sake of it, and it's something that's true to my craft? Do I think people will connect, you know, whether it's a pain point or whether it's a trigger or whether it's something that they've enjoyed in their life? Do I think people will connect with it? Am I inclusive? I think in storytelling as well. I think especially in the last few years, we've really all been challenged to make sure that, you know, we are inclusive and we're constantly learning and evolving. And yeah, like, is it a team effort collectively? Because I've worked so long on my own. I feel like if you are working as a team, there's going to be a piece of everyone in that story and in that storytelling as well.
So would you say, releasing a collection now, how would you invite an artist that's, let's say, a street artist, that, you know, they've been doing this for the last decade, 15 years, they're smashing it on the street, on murals. Now Web3, obviously it's about educating yourself, getting around people from the collection side and the storytelling side. What piece of advice are you giving them?
Geez, that's a hard one. I think for me, the Web3 space, I wanted to do something new, and that's why I say that, like, I want to sort of feel like I did when I was starting back. So either use it as an opportunity to do that, or use it as an opportunity to extend, like, and I guess, you know, you people think that, like, your mural has one life on the wall. Use it as an opportunity to extend and then diversify that piece of artwork. So, you know, you take a photo of your mural and then you can animate it or incorporate multi-mediums as well. So I think that you can extend the lifespan of your work and the impact that it has on people.
You've touched on that in this new collection, right?
Yes, yeah. So that's what I'm sort of trying to do, and trying to say, okay, this one piece of artwork that you've poured hundreds of hours in, or your lifetime of hours, really, because, you know, people say, oh, you do that so quick, and it's like, well, it's taken 30 years to do it that quickly. It's not that's its lifespan right there. You can, you know, I guess mash it up and do whatever you want to, and it doesn't end there. So the opportunities are endless there. So I think hopefully that I sort of went around in circles. I hope that makes sense. Quick question,
completely off topic, but relevant to what you do.
Yeah.
What's the position on IP? Like, for example, your new collection, you've got some of the most renowned
Steve
people
Jobs,
of our time.
Mandela,
but you as an artist can do that and have creative license to commercialize that.
Yeah.
What happens when if you put that on a t-shirt and sold that t-shirt?
That's where it gets messy. So from what the research that I've done, copyright and IP laws are different in Australia versus the States, except in all countries. There's something called fan art, and you got to be careful with the names that you use. So you'll notice that the names of my NFTs are different, that they're not actually named after them. Yes. So it's still considered fan art, and where it does get difficult is if you're then printing it on merch and mass selling across the board. That's where you can get in a lot of trouble.
Something that breaks my brain is, let's just use, whether it be Jay-Z or whether it be like whatever artist.
Yeah, Kanye's notorious for it.
Isn't it amazing how they could sing about cognac this or Louis Vuitton that or Gucci this? They can name drop how it suits them. They're leveraging luxury brands to suit their narrative. But if the luxury brand put them on a T-shirt, they'll chew their fucking ass.
Ooh.
I want to know the answer to that.
That's an interesting point.
That's a really good point that I've actually never thought of. I'd love to know the answer to that.
There was this conspiracy theory.
Trent, if you're listening.
There was this conspiracy theory
breaking the studio.
that I did see. And it was, for some reason, Big Mac's had a massive sale. And what they ended up realizing that there was a plant between a bunch of hip hop artists where they got the artists all to use Big Mac within a song in some type of fashion. Their numbers went up in Big Mac sales.
Wow.
So McDonald's was actually paying artists to put it into
like
the
that
ecosystem.
Native kind of marketing.
Yeah,
like
everyone's talking about Gucci, but like you said, Ivan, are they using it for the flex, or is Gucci really paying these songwriters?
They could well be.
We look at that Bruno Mars. I only got a 12-year-old daughter, and I am cheesy as fuck, let's be honest. But, that Versace on the Floor song, the whole song's got Versace in it. It's like, they must have paid, or if they didn't, then where did you draw the line? But you think about
like movies, like the product placement, like you
that's
take
99%,
note of that, like 100%, but it's the same though. So it must be like it's a form of product placement because they're saying the name and it's like over and over again. You're picturing that in your head when you're listening to it, so it must be.
Yeah, I want to know the answer.
I really want to know the answer to that
it's got
too.
me thinking around, what does IP look like with sound in future? Because if that's where we're going with voice, and I know Gary Vee's extremely bullish with sound becoming the future, and when we're ordering wine online, there'll be a sonic brand attached to the wine that we drink, so forth. So what that IP looks like in future for sound would be interesting to play through blockchain.
Too, like, it's going to come back to whether it be a melody or a beat or a hook or whatever it may be. 'Cause, I mean, when Vanilla Ice ripped off Queen or whatever it was, and he changed it ever so slightly that he actually won, which is ridiculous. And then you go down 20, 30 years later with Blurred Lines. You're like, why is this happening? And then they lose to that.
Yeah.
It's the horrible thing about law, it's about how it's presented and who's representing you. It's because it's just so fucking horrible to navigate.
There's a lot of grey. A lot of grey. Well, that's what people always ask me, and I'm like, please get your own advice, because I actually don't know. Like, everyone that I've sourced advice from, there is a general consensus and everyone sort of says the same thing, but I would hate to be like, do this and and I'm always like,
sell out a collection and then get sued for more than it.
Hey, stranger things have happened. Like, I know artists who big time.
Where do you think most artists go wrong within this Web3 space, particularly? Because obviously Ivan and I talk continuously around utility, and that obviously if you're not providing utility, and that's the narrative at the moment, if you're not providing it, you've got to do far more.
Yeah.
For artists, what do you think they're doing wrong when coming into this space?
I do.
And when I mean wrong, like as in obviously they put the project out and it flops and there's no marketing around it, so forth.
That's what I was
going to... Obviously not wrong from subjectively, the art looks wrong. We can't say that. That's everybody.
That's exactly where I was going to go though. I was going to say, I think where artists get it wrong sometimes is that they think that their work can just speak for itself and they don't have to story tell or explain that, this is what... They just assume that everyone will be able to interpret it, and that then there's no marketing behind it. And look at the world that we live in. I do believe that not that you owe it to your fans, but I think it is beautiful. It goes hand in hand to be able to sort of come to the forefront of your project, and it is marketing essentially. And it takes a lot. It takes guts, and you got to be pretty brave to do that. I don't think it's wrong if you're not doing it, and good on you if your work does speak for itself. But I think in this space moving forward, it's as we've seen, I think it's important to sort of have marketing as a focus. But, you know,
and it allows people to be part of your journey too.
Exactly.
That's the way
and
I think you see it.
It's more inclusive, and, you know, like I feel like anyone who's owns an NFT, like they can come to me and have a chat with me for, like I spoke to someone in my Discord for like 3 hours yesterday while I was painting. So, you know, and I think if you do come forward and you're like, hey, I'm here, you're more accessible, and that's really what we want in this space. Is, you know, that's what I want anyway. But everyone's different. Everyone has different values or ideas or goals in what they want to get out of this space. And so,
I just think, not to answer on your behalf, but like I have had a background as a creative before running agencies and or whatever companies I'm a part of, and I think the basic fundamentals that I learned at a very young age as a designer, or running a business, or throwing a party, or whatever it is that you do, is to have a direct relationship with your audience, and that's the only thing that matters. And I won't mention their name because I'm not here to sort of put anyone down per se, but one of the biggest jobs I've ever done was for a telco, and it was $1 million job, like the biggest job I've ever had, single contract, and it was over many months. And they were very bullish about how their head office was in a particular state and their database was 5 million deep and they could sell out a concert in seconds. Long story short, we took care of all the other gigs around the country, sold most gigs out because we had a really cool lineup for that time, for that project, for that client. And the one that they were really bullish on to sell, because I had the numbers, I'm not a word of a lie, they sold 5 tickets. Whoa. 5 tickets.
That's
you
wild.
know why? Because the band that we put on the roster to perform had a very, very particular market. Their niche was like they lived in certain places and they hung out on certain platforms, and they didn't belong. Nobody, not one of their fans was getting this EDM or this text from this telco.
Yeah.
And I ripped them to shreds, and I pulled 50 grand out of their pocket and bought advertising and saved the show. Yeah. But all our other shows that were bigger, we didn't spend even 10% of that money because we had a direct relationship with the artist. The artist invited their fans. Their fans turned up 2 hours early and had the fucking time of their life. You know, it's about understanding your audience, and it's about connecting with your audience. So it's not about who's got the biggest banner, who's got the biggest ad. It's not about who's got the biggest spend. We were on a LinkedIn space this morning, and I will mention this person because they're a fucking legend, but Toast Punk was talking about a lot of I've yet to hear something stupid the guy said. He's so smart. But one thing I didn't agree with, and I didn't want to jump in and hog the whole space, because I can do that as well.
Can't we all?
He talked about data being king, not his exact words. And my point to that, this cut telco had what they thought was the biggest database in the state. Data's not important. Data's important if you know how to use it.
What do we always say? Knowledge. Quality over quantity. Sometimes, like, you know,
like knowledge isn't power unless it's applied, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting you say that. And, you know, I'm not saying I've figured it all out because I definitely haven't. You know, I'm fully a guinea pig on a hamster wheel right now. Like, I have no idea. But from what I think and what I've seen and what I'm still trying to figure out even how to market.
That makes 2 of us, 3 of us.
You know, I believe and what I think I would love, like having that direct, as you said, that direct contact with someone that I'm a huge fan of. It's just like,
And now you do have, you've just provided it to your audience. And that's Ivan and I were talking, and we've spoken on the last podcast, is that the difference between art projects compared to every other project is art can be completely subjective, and you don't need to provide utility because it's art at the end of the day. But what you've done is you're building that within, you mentioned in person, outside of this conversation, and I don't know how much of that is public, is you're building essentially a roadway for artists and education. Yes. Speak on that, what that looks like.
Yeah, so I think I was on another podcast this week, and I've always sort of struggled to put it into words, but he mentioned that, like, my purpose has become to change the landscape for artists and creators and what it looks like to them for many years to come. And from on a smaller scale, I've realized that, and from the journey that I've been on, it's a very lonely journey, and I haven't been able to look up to anyone knowing that they've done it and they've achieved, and then they've ticked that box. Yeah. So on a smaller scale, I've been mentoring, younger aspiring artists, from 10 years old to 30 years old. Wow. And in my DMs every day, I see the desperate need for people, who are in unhappy jobs and really just want to make a go of something creative. And it's not just painting, it's all creators. And it's gotten to a point where I'm struggling to sort of keep up and help everyone that I want to help. So I was like, there is a gap in the market. Where do you go? Like, everyone's like, I went to uni, but my art teachers were miserable. They obviously ended up in a job that they didn't want to be, end up in. And I was like, well, that you inspire me in some ways, but that's not where I want to end up. And I don't want other people to end up there. So murals, I had to figure it out as I went along. There was no school. There was no one to talk to. I was messing up people's walls for years on end. So to be able to help people on a bigger scale, I thought that there was a huge need, essentially like a masterclass, but basically have, from the art of business, the business of art, to canvases, to murals, to also, I think there's a huge need to sort of help kickstart artists in the Web3 space. And I was like, in order for me to learn how to teach that, I have to do it as well. So, so that's where the online platform is that I'm building, and anyone who holds an NFT will get access to that for free. So,
which is pretty damn cool when you think about the price of what you're offering compared to a degree.
Yes. Well, school. I look at my Hex and I'm pretty sure it's still chilling at 30K. So, yep.
I quit school in year 11 because I was so much fucking focused on having fun.
Yeah.
But then I decided, no, I actually want to do fashion. So I went to go to RMIT and they're like, oh, you need year 12. I'm like, fuck. I wanted it so bad, I actually went back to school and I did my year 12.
Like soon after or straight after?
6 months later.
Really? Okay.
And I had to pick up all these extra subjects and they were just setting me up to fail because I was the shittiest little kid. Yes, never wagged school, didn't do anything wrong, but I was a cheeky little cunt.
Don't worry, I wagged.
And they turned around and said, okay, you need to do 311 subjects plus all your year 12 subjects. You fail one, you fail the year. And I'm like, bring it. Anyway, I did it and
challenge
got there.
Accepted. Good on you.
But my graphic design teacher, and I feel so terrible to this second, at my peak of my fashion career, I had like a 4 or 5 page spread in the Herald Sun. It was a huge feature story. It's the one you see for those big superstars. I don't know why I deserved it, but I got one.
Hey.
But my graphic design teacher, I called her out. And I called her this, that, and the other. Because the bit that got me...
Done that before
when
too.
When I started to work on my portfolio and I told her I wanted to be a fashion designer, she said, I want to be a designer. I could make it. You won't. And I'm like, you're a fucking bitch. And I kind of disliked her ever since.
I love that.
But she was so good to me.
Oh, really?
What have I done?
Hey, that shapes you though. Like, imagine, things like that weren't said to you. Like, doesn't it just give like you more of a fire in your belly to be like, yeah, no, I'm just going to prove everyone wrong?
No, I did prove them wrong. But I also feel bad. Her name's Miss Garofalo, and I owe you so much.
If you're listening.
I was wrong.
Was she your uni teacher at school?
No, year 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I told a teacher to go F herself and I'd have no remorse, so.
Do you find that drives you? Like, how many people, some people are sick, and I love it. They have a list, or they stick something up in their bedroom wall.
Oh, I'm not that crazy. But yeah. That's good.
But do you have something like that?
I had, so my art teachers told me that, you would be a starving artist if you try. And my uni, so like my school teachers, and then my uni teacher tried to fail me in my last semester of art. And they painted over my work. They told me not to sign my work. And then they didn't know that I was like painting on the side. So when I finished and I passed and I finished both of my degrees with distinctions, I put my business card on their desk.
I've heard this story.
So that was my, I didn't get mad or even, I just like.
And what art were you working on at the time, or delivering more so?
I just met The Rock.
Yeah.
As it happened. Yeah, as like I came home from that and then they were like, you're going to fail. Like they ganged up on me. They like pulled me aside in the room and they're like, you're going to fail. And I was like,
and now you're just struggling to buy the rug that you want to put in your beautiful new home in Toorak.
yeah, so it's interesting you say that because it's like I love hearing those stories. Like it's that's what shapes you. It does, really.
Before we're out of time, I want to lean into my big audacious goal in any Web3 project that I'm personally directly aligned to or running or helping or whatever is utilities. Like, I genuinely think that anything with a really clever, planned out utility roadmap will only get better, therefore create scarcity. Therefore, it makes an investment worthwhile. You're an artist. If I buy your artwork, I am investing in your work.
Of course.
You know, and I think that I really want you to unpack where you're at now, and then if you are planning to continue to add utility to your projects as they live on.
Yeah. That's I think that's so important. I think if I'm being honest, where I'm at now, I know what my current utility, which is the online course that I'm focusing on, and obviously staying true to what I believe in, which was bridging the gap between physical and digital. So I still think the excitement of, receiving your cards in the mail and getting, a print that you can keep or some memorabilia. So those physical and gifting the physical as well, the physical paint, like the ones that I'm gifting are 1.8 meters high. So that's what that looks like right now in the present. And obviously the online course, I think that's probably about a year away. And a lot of people who hold don't even know that they, and say, for example, I said to Matt Toastpunk, he bought an NFT and I said,
what did he buy?
Oprah. Because his daughter Emily loves drawing and she's amazing. I think she's 10. Yeah. And when he had purchased, I said, just so you know, I said, I'm building a course that Emily will be able to do as an NFT holder. And she's coming to meet me on Saturday morning in my studio.
Oh, that's lovely.
Because I just want her to have someone to look up to. So he didn't even know that when he purchased that NFT.
She's probably taller than you already.
Probably a head taller than me. So that's...
She'll be advising you on your collection when she comes in.
I know. She'll be, exactly.
What I told Dad to do and what he did and how we got...
She's actually the reason why he got into NFTs.
Yes.
So... Hey, I think she'll actually have some 2 cents to add.
I'm ready. Bring it on. I need that. And that's the thing. The beautiful thing about kids is they're so honest. They're so honest. Like when I finish a mural, they will tell me exactly what they think. And that's what's the beautiful part. Because we overthink everything as adults. Like there's so many layers to it, whereas the child mind is so beautiful. Anyway, sorry, back to the utility. Speaking of kids, so how I envisage it moving forward is still dropping collections, but I do want to... My passion is, I think the problem, which is in our generations and many generations to come, is parents influence kids, and sometimes in a negative way, saying you need to be a lawyer, you need to do a real job. And I think where I need to sort of tap into is showing these parents that it is possible so they can nurture their child and that they're, from a younger age, tapping into that, creative side of the brain that perhaps that's all lost. Like if I didn't get pushed into it from my parents, I would not be an artist, hands down. So I see utility, being, whether it be keynote speaking, tapping into with school books and children's books. That's how I see it for the bigger picture right now. I don't know how I'm going to roll that out, but I'm thinking more scale. Right now it's smaller on what I can achieve, but in the future I see it on a larger scale. And I also hope to get other artists on board, so it's not just me trying to, I think we collectively need to make a difference with kids as a young age, and also even how people receive artists. I still get asked what my real job is. People still make fun of me and want me to paint for free. Literally though, and I think we need to change that, but we need to do it collectively, and I need other artists on board. So I'm hoping to do that as well.
Collectively with other artists and brands, do you plan on doing anything in the mid to long term that you could share?
Before you answer that,
I hope.
Last night on Spaces, there was this, I think his name was Jay. Anyway, if I can't remember your name, do too bad. But
I love the sass.
he was a fucking dude, like super switched on.
Yeah.
And we actually spoke this afternoon. That's what makes it more embarrassing.
It's that
But the
wine.
good bit is I remember his business, which is so fucking weird because it's so close to our name.
Yeah.
But they've got pixelbands.io, right? And we had a chat. Their product is fucking awesome,
Okay.
which leans into you a little bit in theirs is music.
Yeah.
But what they've done is they've built software to allow artists to collaborate and collectively make songs, and they're selling those songs. They've already paid out $80,000 in royalties to their artists
Wow.
this year.
That's incredible.
How cool's that?
Yeah.
But completely different medium. But it would be interesting if, like, let's say your medium's X. If you collaborate with all those other mediums that you said, and then they interpret your art or contribute to your art with different mediums, that could be super interesting.
Yeah, definitely. And that's, I think, I always say it, like the opportunities are endless, and the collaboration involved is what you mentioned, whether it be other artists that are maybe not reachable, your audience hasn't found them yet, and then you expose them to other artists, and they've got a new fan, and the community grows, like collectively, like more the merrier. But they're still invested because they're invested in you. They're going to be invested in someone that you're, essentially endorsing or working with. So it's really powerful on that front. And with brands, I think, I look at the brands that I've worked with: Nike, Telstra, Converse, law brands, like huge, like and so diverse. And I really hope to sort of
Go back and claim your bag.
Yeah.
Let's go.
and I really hope to sort of like, whatever that looks like.
No, but truly,
is connect
coming
my
at
audience
it
to that
again
too.
and saying, okay, what does an art and collaborative piece look like? And hey, big brand, I've done 3 to 5 to 10 at this point with others. Would you like to enter the blockchain?
Yeah.
This is how we can help. And, there's also a beautiful cause to it too.
Of course. Yeah.
That sounds lovely.
Yeah.
Before we end this podcast, I want to leave it to Ivan to share his final words. Before he does, pleasure, Danielle.
Thank
Love
you.
hanging with you continuously.
Nah, I love it.
And
Good vibes.
continue to grow with you beyond and beyond.
Respect for both of you.
I just seriously tip my hat to you as an artist, and fundamentally, I think keep on the road that you're on, because what impresses me about you is obviously your art is next level, but there's 1,000 people like you. There just is, and there's better than you, but they're not well rounded as you are, and I think that's something that you've really done and built on. Like you've been really aware of your digital footprint. You're really backing yourself in things that you love. You've worked with commercial brands, but from the little I know, but I've seen you from afar for a long time through obviously working with James for all these years, and I've only ever heard really beautiful things, and that's what people buy into. People buy from people. You're a person, you're an artist building, and people gravitate to that, and that's, again, just something that you can't teach. You have that. So congratulations, and I wish you all the best.
That means a lot. Thank you both. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. It's been a pleasure having you.
And the very last thing, not now.
I knew it.
No,
I was like, hang on, is that someone else?
you do need to map out what you do outside of the art on Web2, Web3 with the utility component. That's what I think can take you to that next level.
Agreed.
And that's what we would love to help you with.
Yeah. Thank you. Need it.
Peace, love. Let's roll up.
Thank you, guys.